acknowledging the request of the great bodhisattva Mahamati, spoke this verse. In mind only there is no assertion or denial. Those who don't know the appearance of body, property, and abode is thought, are occupied with attributions and denials, unwise. Then the Blessed One, illuminating the meaning of this same verse, also said, untrue attribution, Mahamati, is of 4 kinds. What are the 4? Attribution of untrue characteristics, attribution of untrue notions, untrue attribution of cause, untrue attribution of existence. These, Mahamati, are the 4 kinds of attribution. And what, Mahamati, is denial? Denial comes about because of absence of examination of the failure of apprehension characteristic of this very attribution of false notions. This, Mahamati, is the definition of attribution and denial. Now then, Mahamati, what is the definition of attribution of untrue characteristics? It means immersion in untrue characterizations, particular and common, of the clusters, elements, and media. This is thus, this is not otherwise. This, Mahamati, is the definition of attribution of untrue characteristics. This imagination attributing untrue characteristics, Mahamati, evolves from immersion in valueless inconsistent impressions of conceptual elaboration since beginningless time. This, Mahamati, is the manifestation of attribution of untrue characteristics. Attribution of untrue notions, Mahamati, means attribution of notions of self, being, life, offspring, growth, person, and personality to the clusters, elements, and media. This, Mahamati, is called attribution of untrue notions. Untrue attribution of cause, Mahamati, means after a groundless previous consciousness that occurs subsequently ceases to exist, an illusion-like present consisting of memory of prior sight, form, and light takes place. Having take place and come to be, then it passes away. This, Mahamati, is untrue attribution of cause. Untrue attribution of existence, Mahamati, means attribution asserting the existence of what is uncreated. Space, nirvana, and extinction. But existence or non-existence, Mahamati, is inapplicable to them. All things, Mahamati, are perceived like the horns of rabbits, horses, donkeys, and camels, optical illusions, apart from either extreme of being or non-being. Attributions and denials are imagined by the naive whose minds have not ascertained that they are only subjective mental objects, but not by the wise. This, Mahamati, is the definition of attribution and denial of untrue ideas of existence. Therefore, Mahamati, one should become free from both assertive and dismissive views. Furthermore, Mahamati, having realized the 2 kinds of inherent selflessness of mind, intellect, cognitive consciousness, and the 5 elements, bodhisattvas take on many physical forms for the sake of others. Like imagined natures based on relative nature. Like universal wish-fulfilling gems, they visit the circles assembled in all Buddha lands and hear teaching beyond the vehicles of all listeners, and solitary illuminates directly from all Buddhas. That all things are like illusions, dreams, similitudes, reflections, the moon in water. Unoriginated, apart from eternity and annihilation. And they find hundreds of thousands of entrances into concentration, with as many as tens of millions of hundreds of thousands of concentrations to be attained. By those concentrations they go from land to land, and intent on serving Buddhas, referring to the 3 jewels and setting up images of Buddha in all resulting celestial abodes. Surrounded by groups of listeners and groups of bodhisattvas. by way of introducing the scope of subjective perception, teach the non-existence of external things for the purpose of relinquishment of extremes of being and non-being. Then the Blessed One spoke this verse. When offspring of the victors see the world is only thought, they attain the projection body free of ritual training, with its powers, super-knowledges, and masteries. Then Mahamati, the great bodhisattva, again petitioned the Blessed One. Let the Blessed One define the emptiness, non-origination, non-duality, and lack of inherent existence of all things, by awareness of which emptiness, non-origination, non-duality, and lack of inherent existence I and other great bodhisattvas may quickly realize perfect enlightenment, freed of concepts of non-existence and existence. Then the Blessed One said this to Mahamati, the great bodhisattva. Then listen, Mahamati, and take it to heart, accurately and aptly. I will tell you. Good, Blessed One, said Mahamati, the great bodhisattva, and listened to the Blessed One. The Blessed One said this. Emptiness is emptiness. This, Mahamati, is a statement of imagined nature. By immersion in imagined nature, moreover, Mahamati, people become propounders of the existence of emptiness, non-origination, non-existence, non-duality, and absence of intrinsic nature. Emptiness, Mahamati, is, in sum, of 7 kinds, namely emptiness of definitions, emptiness of independent existence of things, unpracticed emptiness, practiced emptiness, emptiness as the inexpressibility of all things, the great emptiness that is the master knowledge of ultimate truth, and comparative emptiness is the 7th. What, then, is emptiness of definitions? It means all things are empty of particular and common definition. Because of collective mutual relativity, since there are no discoverable divisions, Mahamati, hence the inefficiency of particular and common definition. And because of the non-existence of self, other, and both, definition does not stand up. Hence it is said that all things are empty of inherent definition. And what, Mahamati, is the emptiness of independent existence of things? The quality of occurrence itself without independent existence, Mahamati, is the emptiness of independent existence of all things. Therefore it is called emptiness of the independent existence of things. What is unpracticed emptiness? It means nirvana in the clusters not previously practiced. Therefore it is called unpracticed emptiness. What is practiced emptiness? It means the clusters operate proceeding by combinations of reasons and practical actions without self or possession. Therefore it is called practiced emptiness. What is the emptiness of all things as inexpressible? It means all things are empty as inexpressible because of inexpressibility by imagined nature. Therefore it is called emptiness as inexpressible. What is the great emptiness that is the master knowledge of ultimate truth? It means first-hand attainment of ultimate knowledge is empty of all the faulty impressions of opinionated views. Therefore it is called the great emptiness of master knowledge of ultimate truth. And what, Mahamati, is comparative emptiness? Whatever is not in a certain place is therefore called absent. For example, elephants, cattle, goats, and so on are not in this palace, but I've said it's not empty of mendicants while it is called empty of those others. It is not that the palace is non-existent as a palace, nor that the mendicants are not there as mendicants, and it's not that the existences of elephants, cattle, goats, and so on cannot be established somewhere else. This, Mahamati, is particular and common to all things. One is not found where another is, so it is called comparative emptiness. These, Mahamati, are the 7 kinds of emptiness. And this comparative emptiness is lowest of all, and should be completely rejected by you. It does not occur of itself. Nor do they not occur, except in a state of concentration. Therefore they are called unoriginated, void of inherent existence. To sum up non-origination, Mahamati, all things are void of inherent existence. Because there is no uninterrupted succession of moments, and because of evident change, Mahamati, all things are void of inherent existence. That is why it is said all things are empty of intrinsic nature. What, then, Mahamati, is the definition of non-duality? It means in the way cool and heat, in the way long and short, black and white, are manifested in pairs, not singly. In this sense all things are non-dual, like mundanity and nirvana. There is no mundanity where there is nirvana, and no nirvana where there is mundanity, because of the reality of actual existence of disparate characteristics. Therefore it is said that all things are non-dual, like mundanity and complete nirvana. Hence, Mahamati, you should focus on the characteristics of emptiness, non-origination, non-duality, and absence of inherent existence. Quote, Then the Blessed One uttered these verses. I point out emptiness ever apart from permanence and annihilation. Mundane existence is the appearance of dreams, illusions, yet action does not cease. Space, nirvana, and 2 kinds of extinction too. The ignorant construe as uncreated, the wise as apart from non-being and being. Then the Blessed One also said this to Mahamati. The great bodhisattva, this, Mahamati, is the definition of emptiness, non-origination, non-duality, and lack of independent existence, which is the aim of all the scriptures of all Buddhas. This meaning is to be perceived in any of the scriptures. This scripture, Mahamati, has multiple meanings to guide recipients of all dispositions, not disputation that is actually contradictory. Just as a mirage that entices wild animals is fascinating because of the impression that there is water even though there is no water there. In the same way, Mahamati, the teachings indicated in all the scriptures are appeasement for subjective imaginations of ignorant people, not dispute to establish ultimate knowledge as it is in reality. Therefore, Mahamati, one should follow meaning, not adherence to the expression of teachings. Quote, Then Mahamati, the great bodhisattva, said to the Blessed One, the matrix of realization of reality is also described by the Blessed One in the text of scripture, and the bearer of the 32 marks of distinction is described by you as primally pure, naturally radiant clarity entirely within the body of all people. It has been described by the Blessed One as permanent, stable, peaceful, eternal, like a jewel of great value wrapped in something stained, wrapped in the contents of the clusters, elements, and media, stained by the dirt of greed, animosity, and delusion, and imaginations of what doesn't exist. Then how is the doctrine of the matrix of realization of reality not equivalent to the religious doctrine of a soul? Religious dogmatists also teach the doctrine of soul, speaking of an eternal creator, an unqualified Lord that cannot pass away. Quote, The Blessed One said, My teaching of the matrix of realization of reality is not equivalent to the religious doctrine of a soul. However, Mahamati, the realized ones having made an explanation of the matrix of realization of reality, of the meanings of emptiness, the limit of existence, nirvana, unoriginated, groundless, undiscovered, and so on, the realized ones, the able, the completely enlightened, in order to relieve ignorant people of the fear of selflessness, teach them the imageless realm without thought as an introduction to the matrix of realization of reality. But here, Mahati, great bodhisattva's future and present must not adhere to a soul. Just as a potter, Mahamati, makes various vessels from a single mass of clay particles. By the combined application of hands and skills, stick and string. In the same way the realized ones teach that same selflessness of phenomena, without any imagined characteristics, by means of various applications of insight and skill in means, whether by the teaching of the matrix or by the teaching of selflessness, like a potter, using various alternative formulas of expression. For this reason, Mahamati, the teaching of the matrix of realization of reality, is not equivalent to the religious doctrine of a soul. Even so, they expound the teaching of the matrix of realization of reality to attract the religious who are immersed in the doctrine of a soul. How, alas, could those whose minds have alighted upon the imaginary notion of a soul that doesn't exist, whose intention is set upon the realm of triple liberation, quickly attain supreme perfect enlightenment? For this purpose, Mahamati, the realized ones, the able, the completely enlightened teach the matrix of realization of reality. Hence this is not equivalent to the religious doctrine of a soul. Therefore, Mahamati, in order to stop the religious notion, you should follow the matrix of selflessness arriving at reality. Quote, the Blessed One then uttered these verses. Personality, continuity, clusters and particles to originator, Lord, Creator, the matter of mind is imagined. Then the Mahamati, regarding the people of the future, also petitioned the Blessed One, let the Blessed One teach me the manner of understanding of discipline by which great bodhisattvas can become imbued with great discipline. Quote, the Blessed One said, bodhisattvas become imbued with great discipline when equipped with 4 practices. What 4? By detached observation of what is perceived by their own minds. By abstention from notions of originating, abiding, and dissolution. By observing the non-existence of external things. And pinpointing their own first-hand realization of ultimate knowledge. Great bodhisattvas equipped with these 4 practices, Mahamati, become imbued with great discipline. How, then, Mahamati, does a great bodhisattva become skilled in detached observation of what is perceived by one's own mind?